GM, VM, and VMGM. Hey, it's Vagabond Media. Good morning. Looking at the week in Web3 and all things for digital citizens. If that's you, you're here, you're in the right place. I see today that not only am I here, CD Demisio, but I'm also joined by my co-host, Riona Morgan, our friend Odd Writings. Edward Carpenter's in the house. Indefatigable was here for just a second. We've got Paige down here. Let's see if Edward wants to come up and co-host with us. We're so glad to see you here always, sir. Indy, we are glad to see you back. Riona, how are you today?
I am doing just fine. I'm doing just fine. So, hello, everyone. I'm Rihanna Morgan. I'm editor in chief of Vagabond Magazine. And I'm so happy to be here with you and everyone who's listening now and in the future.
Super awesome to hear your friendly, happy voice always. Edward Carpenter, also great to have you up on the stage, co-hosting with us today at VMGM and Web3 Writers. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How's everybody out there today?
Doing excellent. I see Bobcat has joined us. We've got Eris here. As always, VMGM and Web3 Writers. This is a conversation, you guys, if you have stuff to share, if you're a writer, if you're a reader, if you're someone interested in where blockchain and writing intersect with each other, just raise your hand, come on up. We'll send invites out periodically. You can ignore them if you don't want to come up and talk, but you're all welcome. Odd Writings, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Hello to everybody out there listening in the future. I like to write odd things. That's my little introduction.
That was the best introduction ever. I can't stop laughing now. Indefatigable, how about you hop on there and see if you can top that?
I was not sure how that was possible. But I'm Indy. I love tech and empowerment of people, especially writers. Our stories are important, especially from the fringes. The odder, the better.
Yeah, maybe Otter would be a good. If you ever do an NFT project, George, you could do Otter writings. That would work.
OTTER, the otters. OTTER. That might be fun.
Yeah, otters. I love it. And they always they speak in palindromes. Well, you guys, I see Sean is here and Musashi is here. Always glad. Someone pointed out the other day in the PageDAO Discord, they were like, "Oh, this place is cool. You got Musashi and Vagabond. I see a theme going on." We dig that theme. It's unintentional. We didn't do it on purpose, but it's there. So, looking at VMGM, Riona, is anything catching your attention this week? Or anything on your radar that you're excited about or seeing?
Well, yes, there actually is. And so yesterday I was running around the Vagabond Magazine Substack, and I am just overwhelmed with the amount of amazing articles that are being published lately. And so if you are not following Vagabond Magazine Substack, you definitely should, because there's so many things. There's gaming things, there's fashion things, there's help for writers, there's parenting things, all with the eye or focus on digital lifestyle. And so I know that that's kind of tooting our own horn a little bit, but it's really just amazing. And so I just wanted to shout out to our amazing writers and our amazing community and say thank you all so much for coming. And I do have some other things later that we can talk about, but let's send it around to everybody and let them talk a little bit too.
Sounds excellent. Edward, are you bringing anything to us today? No, I'm not, CD. I'm not bringing anything.
I actually hope I might be bringing something. I've got a bit of news on the Web3 writing and publishing front. So I've just joined the team over at Twig as their business development manager. so Twig is I think we've had someone from them on the program, maybe back when it was still Cosmos. It was what has come out of the Sitka World project that I think I was talking about very early on in the Meta Librarian Minutes as a project I thought had really great art, really great ideas, and really great onboarding. And that pivoted into something bigger that was called Cosmos, and then that got renamed Twig because Cosmos was too close to the name of a popular token. So very excited to see what can be done to kind of bring this vision of making Web3 writing more mainstream, more accessible to both writers and readers. And just that's my big news of the week, probably. So very much looking forward to trying to get maybe some people in the audience, if you're a writer, onboarded on that platform at some point. I think it would be a great place for potentially Vagabond magazine to I know you guys are pretty much everywhere, and I'm probably going to try to use it as a venue for some of my various writing projects, to include the arts and poetry, and maybe a few other things, maybe even the Meta Librarian Minutes if I get that started up again.
Oh, Edward, we would love to have the Meta Librarian Minutes as a feature in VM. And, we're going to be publishing quarterly. And, if you ever want to put anything on the Substack, the Vagabond Substack, of course, you're always welcome. Anything that you have going on, whether it's with Lit or with Twig, and congratulations on that. That's amazing. Does Twig still have that awesome onboarding process? Do you know?
It's been so long. I think I went through that onboarding back when it was still Cosmos. I think, but Sitka World is still its own thing, and I think that they still have their same process. But again, it's been literally 2 years since I went through that onboarding. Um, but yes, they've always been one of the most kind of sort of innovative and story driven discords that I've been in, and I think it's very interesting. They're starting to put together kind of a mini nano Remo of getting squads of writers together to try to encourage them to get their writing done before the platform goes live sometime later this year. So if anybody's interested in joining a writing squad, or just using that as a way to get your word count up every day, it's something that is recommended. If you're interested, just drop me a DM or shoot me a note, and I'll try and get you some information.
Amazing. That is amazing stuff. And we love writing squads. Musashi, we're going to get you up here, but we got T. Dylan Daniel here. Good morning, Dylan. How are you?
Good morning, CD. I suppose I'm doing all right. It's actually kind of funny. I was thinking the other day that I should reach out to the Sitka World / Cosmos people, and it turns out that now Edward is one of them. So, hi, Edward. Let's talk.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great idea. And sorry, it looks like my voice is getting very scratchy. I'm running on very little sleep these days, but I'm trying to get better at that.
Well, we hope you feel better. We hope your voice improves and doesn't feel scratchy, even if it sounds scratchy. Musashi, how are you?
Doing great. How are you doing? Happy to be here.
Do you guys ever have that urge to answer people when they when they rhetorically say how you doing? I feel like that could be like a very funny sort of skit. Like if you had the right people do it, they're like, "How you doing?" You're like, "Oh, my throat's scratchy. My hair is standing on end." I don't know, all kinds of funny stuff you could say.
Dude, I've actually thought about committing to, when you walk down the street, somebody says, "Hey, how you doing?" And they don't expect you to answer. And most of the time, they don't care to hear, unless you're in like a small town where they actually stop and they face you, and they look at you, and they expect the answer back. I'm gonna start doing that, especially to the people that are not expecting the answer back.
I hope you need to get a drone so you can film it, so you can actually get those reactions. Or hey, you could get a pair of these awesome Meta Ray-Bans that I have, and you could just wear those and do it and record their reaction directly that way. Odd Writings, you're going to save us from this conversation. I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Actually, I'm going to lengthen this conversation foisted upon you to say that I actually tried that as a strategy for telemarketers. So I'd get a phone call and they'd say, "Oh, hello, how are you doing?" And I could tell immediately it was a telemarketer, right? So then you go off, you start talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And eventually they hang up. Now I don't do that anymore because nowadays they have people that'll record your voice and then they can use that to imitate your voice. So it's no longer a wise thing to do over the telephone. But just wanted to throw that out there.
Wait a minute. So you're saying they have things that record your voice and then imitate your voice? Aren't we in danger of that here with Elon Musk and everything that he's doing? Aren't we in danger of him creating deep fakes of all of us and just getting rid of the Web3 writers and replacing us with versions of ourselves that he's created?
Yeah, we are actually. Joy. But of course, that's going to be the case, I think, with any of these social network, audible things.
Hey, speaking of that, yesterday we did our first test on Abura, which is run through Warpcast. It was fun. It was cool. We just did like a 30-minute test, and then we got off the phone or got off the call. I want to say we got off the space. That's what it was. And we got off the space, and it was totally fun, and it worked. But I don't know that it's going to be ideal. So we're going to keep doing these spaces on X for a while, because we love you guys coming and being here and having access to us. But George, you made a great suggestion that maybe we could transition to Zoom, and that way we would have the video of it as well. People could come. We could just like post the link to the Zoom calls, and people could come in there, and they wouldn't have to show their face if they didn't want to. But I don't know. What are you thinking of that, guys? Edward, go ahead.
So when you said it wasn't ideal, besides the fact that I wasn't didn't log on because I thought that we were actually doing it today at this same time, but was it just not enough participation, or was it something technical?
Well, everyone that we invited had to, first of all, pay, the nominal amount with Warps, which is the Farcaster. They had to pay to get the app if they wanted to come on and speak. You could listen to it later, but it didn't have like the same sort of like open participation that we have here, where like we can see Bobcat and Daniel Creed down there. And Authored Style just showed up, and we can invite them up on the stage, and without them having to jump through any hoops to do it. And the problem was that we weren't able to do that yet on Abura, but the audio sounded really good. The format was good. The recording that it made later sounded good. So all of that. So it's something that we're going to keep exploring. But the other side of that too is we realize that we're all working in different time zones around the world. And so here's something for all of you guys. And I'm looking at you, Authored Style, and also, at Edward in Australia. We're thinking maybe Web3 writers, we should start having multiple hosts and multiple time zones running these so that more people can get involved. And then, maybe once a month we do what George said and like have a big Zoom call where we all talk and share and everything else. That could be really cool. But wouldn't it be cool to have Authored Style hosting Web3 writers? I think that would be cool. Edward, go ahead.
Yeah, I would definitely say that one of the things that I'm looking to do is try to improve my quality of sleep, and so it would make a lot more sense for me to start hosting something kind of in Asia Pacific, and then dropping in on a much more occasional basis to a something that's kind of multi-time zone, as opposed to really throwing the schedule off by trying to get up or stay up for these. So from a health perspective, I would definitely say that might be a good thing for some people.
Well, and the downside of that for me is I love recording these and then sharing them later through the VM podcast channels. And so the downside of that would be I don't want to show up for every space and record them all. But I think if you guys wanted to host, we could pretty easily show you how the recording process works. We could figure that out, and that would probably make it pretty cool. But Edward, think about a time that you would like to do that. that works specifically for you. And same thing for anybody else. If you'd like to host your own Web3 writers, we would love to facilitate that with you and to be part of it and to have you doing that. So reach out if that's something that you want to do through me, Riona, Cryptoversal. Like just reach out to us all. Go ahead, George.
I just wanted to add that one of the reasons that we've been thinking about this is we want to get on as many social network platforms as possible, because that way we can gain a different audience, or gain a larger audience. So we might have something here on X, Twitter, but we could also have something on Mastodon, something on Lens, something on Threads, something all these kind of all these different places, and then try to gain more people and spread the word about writing on Web3.
Yeah, and it's not just about gaining audience, it's also about building community too. Like we know that there are plenty of other Web3 writers out there who are sharing the same struggles and going through the same things and figuring out cool stuff that we're not figuring out. And all of us together end up being so much more powerful and stronger. And if you did listen to some of that call yesterday, I saw George's summary of it, and there was a lot of stuff going on about publishing and about, people coming together to do Web3 publishing stuff and onboarding together. So it's a cool idea. Speaking of which, Cryptoversal Books is here. He's a guy who has tons of cool ideas. We're so glad you made it, man. We don't see you every time, but hopefully that will change. How are you?
Hey, CD. A little bit under the weather today, but had to crawl out of bed to get into the space because I know I missed the last one, and I don't want to miss all the talking to all you lovely people and getting all the news and what everyone is doing. So happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. And just a quick technical note. This is VMGM and Web3 Writers. This week, I'm actually feeling a little under the weather too. I think I may have picked something up, but I just put Web3 Writers on there, and I think that's okay. And this week, we'll just do Web3 Writers, and that's it. VMGM. If we have VMGM notes, we can mention those in Web3 Writers this week. And this is this, that is that. Someone please rescue me. Talk.
So,
Well,
is anyone? Go ahead, Rihanna.
I just wanted to say it's so wonderful. I love looking and seeing all of our friends here in the space, and that there's some new faces. And CD and I like to always recommend, and Edward too, all of us, run around and make friends with everyone and follow everyone and see what they're doing and see what their projects are, so that we can all rise together and live together. I want to invite Musashi up and let him talk a little bit about some things they've got going on. If you would like to, if now's the appropriate time, I know that we've been having some conversations here and there, and so it would be wonderful to hear about that. And then Cryptoversal, I know you've got some great things going on, and so please jump in and share around, so that we can all know what everyone is working on.
And into the silence, I'll just throw a question for the group. Is anybody still writing or publishing on T2 these days? I know we did the contest back in December. That worked out well. But just curious, I've been back to the platform. It seems a little quieter, but maybe it's because I'm not involved in a month-long writing contest. Is anybody still working with them, publishing with them?
Yes, definitely. 100%. I know that they have so many amazing things coming around the bend. And I know that they've been spending a little bit of time this first quarter working on building some new things and creating some new avenues for people and writers to be involved. And so, yes, it is a thriving place. And so definitely do jump in and look around there if you haven't already. And since I'm on the mic again, I want to throw out a special hello to some team members at PageDAO. And so PageDAO has created a media craft sub DAO, and Jason and Creed are here from MediaCraft, and they are some brilliant builders behind the scenes, working with PageDAO. And so I just wanted to throw out a welcome and a hello, and thank you guys for coming. And yeah, so I feel so excited about how amazing everything is, and all of the building that's going on, and the teamwork that's happening, and so it's an amazing time to be a writer in Web3.
So, Musashi, we're going to get you up here again. I see you requested, and somehow you dropped off the stage on the way. Edward, I wanted to say though that I'm also using T2 still. I recently started a new what do they call it? The like the spaces that they have, the separate. So I started one on spirituality up there.
Territories.
Territories, that's it. And T2 is weird. It's a little bit of a learning curve with it, like figuring out the territories and then paying for the territories and getting the reading points. But they do have some really fun stuff on the horizon, and it's it's just great to see energy going into the space. That's what I love to see. But I have noticed the same thing that you mentioned. Not as much energy without the contest going, but there's another contest coming up. That's a little bit of alpha right there.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was interest in trying to do a Web3 writers territory, and if not, if anybody had recommendations on territories that they thought good. To me, I'm kind of starting to look at it as like the next medium, perhaps. So I'm thinking that there's always like to look for the cooperation versus the competition, and it looks to me like they are a medium for Web3.
On the territories, I like to say there is a particular place where you can post suggestions as to which territory you think would be a good idea. And I did that, I guess, a week and a half ago or so. And then I thought of a second territory, and I talked to Wan Chu from T2, and like Vagabond now, CD now has the religion one. I'm going to have my own territory, which actually I spent a chunk of yesterday writing an article for it, and it's not out there yet. It's not the territory hasn't yet been created, but it's going to be Ulipo, which is OULIPO, and that stands for it's like constrained writing and really unusual writing. And anyways, there's a whole history behind that. I'm going to be the administrator for that, and also another territory more having to do with etymologies. So that's happening. They're starting to pop up with new territories, and so if definitely contact Wan Chu if you want to start your own, and she will get the necessary information from you if she agrees that that it would work.
And I just want to make a quick point, George. The one that I started isn't about religion; it's about spirituality. So it's kind of a subtle difference, but there is definitely a difference there.
Yeah, good to point out.
Musashi, we want to hear from you.
What's up? What do you want to hear?
Oh, we want to hear everything, man. Riona called you out a little bit, and we want to hear what's happening to you. What are you doing? What is new in Musashi world?
Oh man, that must have been when Rihanna first started speaking. I couldn't hear. I had to drop off and come back in, so I totally missed my call out.
All good, all good.
Yeah, just been silently building. As always, I'm a lot like Out Labs. They're in the digital ID space. They're in the DAO space, DAO coordination, collaboration space. But they're really passionate about writing and started a writers contest. So really excited to see even just like very different communities still have that passion for writing and really putting it on the forefront of even their own projects.
And that is why we wanted to call you out. Quick shout out, we got Meta Builders in the audience. And as you saw, Jason and Daniel, we got 2%, 2% Fox. Is that what it is? Glad to have you here, sir. All righty. I'm going to stop talking again. I want to hear from T. Dylan Daniel about what's the latest with Page DAO.
Well, there's quite a bit going on, man. I'll say that for sure. We're live on Cosmos. Robbie did a stream last night. I think it may not have actually happened. We've got a meeting coming up. We've got meetings all the time now. It's just absolute chaos. But there's a lot of really cool stuff happening. So good times for sure.
It's like pulling teeth in here today, you guys. I think maybe there's a virus thing going around. Hey, guess what? I went the other day and I swam with manta rays on the Big Island. Me and my daughter went and joined some friends. We swam with manta rays, and I'm not going to write about it. It has nothing to do with Web3 writers. I just figured I would throw that out there. I went and swam with manta rays at night. It was cool.
That is awesome. Where did you do that at?
Kona Coast of the Big Island here in Hawaii.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
They were so big. It was like,
Bless.
they were just these like massive, gentle creatures, like that just like, we tried really hard not to touch them. They would sometimes come touch us, but they've got their skin is sort of part of their immune system. But it was really, really cool. Totally blessed to have that experience.
Are we not supposed to touch them? That's kind of something crucial that you just said.
Yeah, it's you're not supposed to touch them. Like their immune system is part of their immune system is this slime that we call it slime, but this like excretion that they have on their skin. And so the oils on our hands actually, if we touch them, the oils on our fingertips and hands actually make it wipe that off and make it hard for it to grow back. So it can cause problems. If it happens a little bit, it's not a big deal. But if you've got a bunch of tourists in the water, of course, that's something you want to avoid.
Is this more about consent though? Because I've had a lot of them touch me.
I think maybe you should file a lawsuit. We got a couple lawyers in the audience. You should maybe get something going on. Like not me, Mana.
Definitely lawyer after this space.
Manta Ray. Yeah. So after the space, Musashi, make sure that you speak with Cryptoversal about this important subject. Meta Builders, we got you. How you doing?
Hey, what's up? Just want to say hey to everybody, and it's good hearing your voice, Musashi. It's been a while. And I just wanted to say I'm excited about Page DAO rolling out this specific time, because I was participating in before the bear market hit. And, we rode through it and came back round two, and being a part of this new liquidity pool has been ridiculous. Like, I've been really enjoying it. And I would suggest if anybody has any extra, time and energy to put towards that, it's definitely been paying off as it pertains to like the excitement of just getting back on board with everything that's happening and the new advancements on the blockchains. Like the osmosis is super easy to use and really fast, cheap, and really easy to get into the LP. And I'm up like 500%. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but yeah, it's really dope and I'm enjoying it.
That is super dope. Yeah, 500% is beautiful. We love to hear it. Yeah, and quick service announcement here. If you guys do not have a Kepler wallet, get a Kepler wallet. It makes so much difference. It's easy to sign up for. It allows you to join Page DAO, to participate in osmosis and all these other things that are happening. And it's a really cool wallet that gives you all kinds of options. Plus, where else are you going to keep your page?
Totally. I also recommend Kepler. You can use MetaMask and use MetaMask snaps too and get into the Cosmos ecosystem. But oh my goodness, Kepler makes it so much simpler.
So what
Really
happens to our
appreciate.
page that was on, wasn't it on another chain previously?
What chain hasn't it been on, Dylan?
I guess I'm just
Dylan,
genuinely confused because if I have it in MetaMask on another chain, do I still have Page or do I not?
Yeah, you still have Page.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
still an LP even. So Page is on like 15 blockchains, y'all. It's on Ethereum, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism. I think there's another ethel too, as well. I can't remember what it was. And then it's on like at least a dozen different IBC Cosmos chains, most notably Osmosis right now. That's where the governance and the LP presently reside. So if you have Ethereum on Polygon or on Discord or something, you can withdraw that to Ethereum and then bridge it over to Cosmos and use it in the new tech stack that we've been building.
But don't you lose value in that exchange?
I mean, you have to pay a couple of gas fees, but you should actually end up with the same amount of Page that you had on Ethereum.
Okay, just curious. I'm a very simple person when it comes to tokens, so I'm just a core writer.
yeah, I think the process was really really easy, Edward. I think probably Dylan can point us to a simple tutorial, but even for me, I am a caveman, and it was pretty easy for me to bridge my page over to get it staked for that amazing yield, and then just to have it there, doing good. But I think you're good, no matter what you do, your page is always going to be good, no matter where you have it. But there are some pretty compelling reasons to move it over.
Yeah, I just bought Osmosis and sent that over, I think. But is that the equivalently the same though in terms of the whole VMGM DAO thing?
Oh, yeah. So that's a good point. So we actually started using the DAO, which is also where PageDAO has done their DAO, and Cryptoversal's done their DAO, Whitney Morgan Publishing has done their DAO. VM went over and put together our DAO as well, and we're going to start getting people onboarded to it. If you are a participant in our ecosystem, if you hold any of our magazines, you are welcome to be a member of the VM DAO, and we want you to be a part of it, and we want to hear your voice, and we want to get you more involved, and ideally we want to make millions of dollars for everybody who's involved. That's in an ideal world, but maybe in a realistic world we'll make $1 for everybody that's involved. But still, we're not going to charge you $1, so that's the win right there. So I think that maybe I answered your question, Edward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer.
And
Edward says
Oh,
no.
but that thumbs down though.
I didn't. So could you rephrase your question so I can answer it, or maybe get other people to answer it?
I think my question was around the question of, is just having optimism in your, I guess, optimism wallet the same as having taken your page and bridged it to optimism for purposes of membership or voting power in the VMGM DAO or in the Page DAO. Just a bit like the token that I know most about is Lit, but it's a ERC20 that's on only one blockchain, and it's not worth
Yeah, I
anything,
can
but it just
speak
is
to
what it
this.
is.
Yeah, if it's just sitting there, then it's not going to be any good in any governance. But what we're doing with PageDAO, the reason I'm kind of tired today, is that we're actually spinning up a variety of different DAOs, and we're looking at creating like a token sort of economy here. And so there's a lot of possibilities with this. And basically, the reason that it's possible now is that we have the a sort of DeFi primitive that we can plug into. And then there's also this really useful governance primitive called DAO that gives us on-chain governance. And the way that this works is that you take your page tokens and you stake them into the DAO. And then proportional to your stake, you have membership. And so this works on the main page DAO. So you can get there by going to pagedao.org and then clicking governance. And then there's more information about how all of this works at pagedao.org/docs. I think there may even be a video there. I know Robbie's done just a phenomenal job putting some docs together to explain kind of, how to participate in this next iteration. But the upshot is that it's worth it. It takes a little bit of work to make it happen, but this is fast on-chain governance that leaves a robust, resilient record. And basically, the thing is that there's essentially no overhead involved with spinning up a token. So yes, okay, maybe we'll make money, whatever. I actually don't care so much about that. The thing that's more important is that you have this on-chain application that's made of the token. And this might be a little bit weedsy, but with the token or an NFT, what you have is a contract address on a blockchain, and that address has a list of other addresses and balances associated with those. And really and truly, like the overhead involved with spinning up this sort of database, whether or not you provide liquidity to it, which we are actually planning to build architecture to enable PageDAO community members to do. There will be rules and stuff, of course. We have to do this the right way. We don't want making securities, blah, 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 legalese, yada, yada. But the thing is, we've got all this tooling now, and we're experimenting with it. And thus far, I think it's very usable. I think it's very fast. And really, I mean, at the end of the day, the question is, what can we build with it? And it, I'm seeing less and less reason that decentralized application to contain all 100 million books that exist is prohibited. So I think we're getting really close to not only deploying some stuff that we're not really talking about so publicly yet, but also building a community with like these new data rails that are just it's unreal how functional the Cosmos SDK ecosystem is, and how low the costs are, and how robust everything is, and I mean just how well like these teams are thinking through the design problems that face real Web3 users. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. Also, there are delicious puns. We now have a secret partner. So Secret Labs has joined PageDAO by funding us to build part of their Q1 front end roadmap for 2024. And so they've issued us some secret tokens. And yes, we're allowed to talk about them, but the symbol is SCRT, and it's the secret token. So it's just it feels like maybe I shouldn't be speaking quite this publicly about it.
Shh, it's a secret. Hey, so tell me this. So I think my understanding is that Cosmos itself is what we now refer to as a layer zero. And, with Bitcoin and Ethereum being layer one, Optimism and Arbitrum being layer two, but Cosmos itself is more of a layer zero. Is that right, Dylan? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, layer zero, I've heard referred to both protocols and communities. And like insofar as it's a layer zero, like as in a community, I think that's 100% accurate. It really has, because you have like Binance Smart Chain, right, which is built on the Cosmos SDK, but it's not part of the Cosmos community. And so it's not really considered Cosmos. It's not as interoperable with Cosmos as certain other chains are. And there's not as much cross pollination there. So I think you could absolutely call it a layer zero in that sense. But IBC is a protocol, and one of the big issues with the Atom token right now is that it's hard to monetize it because basically what they've done is they've invented a new form of email. And that was a hard thing to monetize too back in the original internet, if anybody remembers. So a lot of times, we see this with technological revolutions. And basically, IBC is inter-blockchain communication. It's this extraordinarily robust protocol that enables people to create their own blockchains and make those blockchains talk to each other. So there's just this remarkable level of composability. If you don't like that, there's there's chains like Ethereum, there's chains like Solana you can go build on top of. But with the Cosmos chain starting to offer multiple different chains where there's high throughput, and low cost transactions available to users, it's just going to create this user experience where anybody that's in one of these app chain ecosystems can suddenly sort of access technologies from all of them and very, very rapidly, I think what's going to happen is that we're going to start to see, a big onboarding of real world non-Web3 users, specifically to the Cosmos ecosystem, because this modularity of the architecture that these people are all building together is that much better than anything else that exists right now.
Dude, I'm so happy you gave that answer. Thank you for being here so I could ask that question and get that answer. It cleared so much up for me. Now, clearing something else up, I want to say hi to E.R. Donaldson, managing editor for Vagabond Magazine, author, science fiction thinker. How are you, E.R.?
Hey, I'm good. Sorry for being late for all of today's content here. I was actually in a meeting where they were talking about utilizing large language models and AI for healthcare and public health applications. So that kept me from you guys, but I'm glad I could be here.
Well, we're glad that you're working on large language models for healthcare applications. So thanks for that. On a related note, I got in trouble earlier. I made a joke that it's not a joke, by the way, that Taylor Swift is the head of the Illuminati. And somebody on another social network got very upset with me. They were like, you're like Taylor shaming. And I didn't even know that that was a deal. But it was like I had this bulldozer essentially coming after me, and people started piling on, and they were like, you can't make fun of Taylor Swift. I was like, I was making a joke that she's the head of the Illuminati, and they were like, that's not funny. So
Yeah, because she's like way further down on the tier list. You got it wrong.
see, I think it's the other way. I think she is the head of the Illuminati, and that's why they were like, oh God, he's onto us.
Careful, CD. She may hear this.
She hears everything.
The big question is, who's the Swifty spy among us? I mean,
Swift AI is everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess I could volunteer. I think my entire family is Swifties, except for me. So I'll rep.
So so I'm expecting the Swift SWAT to be, showing up at my house soon. Like somebody's gonna be like, there's a problem. Go get him. Luckily, I'm not doxxed. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I am. Okay, so this is kind of the fun is the fact that we can just take crazy things like this and talk about them. So we're living in a world, you guys, where the weirdest things are happening, and they're happening as if they're normal things. Edward, I have seen some of your posts lately, and I'm not gonna address them right here, but I gotta say, man, I really admire your vocalization of things when they are wrong. And the fact that you use your social media for exactly what we could all hope that social media is used for, really want to applaud you for that. And on Super Bowl Sunday, I did see that, and thank you.
I appreciate that, CD. Yeah, it's a difficult world out there. I'm actually replying to Vitalik right now because he has a very optimistic post suggesting that humans are naturally good and that we're all going to be stepping off into the bright future holding a laptop, having started as cavemen. And I'm just like, come on, man. There's 7 billion of us on a planet that's got a carrying capacity of about 2 billion. And not nearly everybody is in that top 1%, like everybody here is pretty much. I know sometimes we probably don't feel like we're in the top 1% of humanity, but the fact that we have the bandwidth and the little tool in our hand and just the time to sit down and do this makes us extremely fortunate and extremely rare human beings. So always got to keep working for the little guys and girls.
Well, 8 billion. And I just want to point out, please remember, Vitalik just left his childhood. He's 30, so of course he's going to be optimistic because he's a billionaire and he's 30 years old. so
And he's got a good graphic designer working for him.
And he's also a solar punk. You got to remember that mentality there. It's all rainbows. We're all shitting rainbows here.
Unicorns and rainbows.
I love Vitalik, but not as much as I love you guys.
I can appreciate him, but I also recognize where we are in reality. and where we're headed. And the Swifties out there that don't like us.
Oh my God, that would be the couple for the future right there, Vitalik and Taylor Swift. That's it. That's the meme. Swift Ethereum.
When Swifty chain.
I bet it exists already, honestly. I bet it does exist.
It's on the test net right now.
Does anybody remember the a little change of topic here, but does anybody remember the Nuance um, writing platform on Internet Computer?
I sort of remember that, George. Like that was one of the early ones when they had the Discover like social network, and then the Nuance came. I think I used it even a little bit, but then I stopped using ICP.
Yeah. I think I've got an account on there, and I remember yours was on there. I was contacted by one of the people that's working on that, and they wanted me to go in and sort of like play around with it. So I think maybe they're starting to gear up again and starting to do some development. So I know there's not a lot of uh, internet computer activity going on. But for those on there, it may be, and who are writers, that might be something to look at. They seem to be, coming up from something.
That's great. That's the kind of stuff that we love to come together and hear. That, and also we are entering this moment where we're reaching this point in the cycle where people are starting to talk about the everything up happening again. So we should all be aware of that. We should be aware that one, it might be happening, everything up. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just raise your hand and I'll clarify. I think you guys all know. But number two is that a lot of times these narratives don't play out the way that people think they will. So we need to be careful. So we may be entering this everything up part of the crypto NFT cycle, but we also might be entering an era where everybody thinks everything's going up and then it goes down. So use caution. Financial advice is what it is. Always, always, always do your own research. Have fun. Don't risk more than you can afford to lose. And like this morning, Mercedes-Benz produced this thing that if I'm in a couple communities, I got to mint a couple of them for free, and I immediately flipped one for $250, which is that's everything up to me, like a free thing for $250. I don't get those kind of wins all the time, but it's cool when it happens, and I hope that we all start to get more of those. And I should say, with the short-term tax, it's actually going to be more like $125. All right. Few things I want to point out that just to have them on you guys' radar. I talk about these things just about every time. One is the next issue of Vagabond Magazine is going to be coming out in March. We are looking for contributors. Always, we're looking to get your voice heard, to give you a chance. We are focused right now on digital citizenship and what it means to be a digital citizen, which we all are because we're here on this space. So if you have thoughts on that, we would love to see that. We would love to share it. We would love to have you as a part of the VM DAO as well. That's thing number one I wanted to point out. Thing number two I want to point out is I've been paying attention closely to the Lamina One network, which is Neil Stevenson, the guy who wrote the book that introduced the word metaverse to the world. He is the co-founder of the Lamina One blockchain, and they are basically building an interoperable metaverse. I recommend all of you guys look it up, get on there, get on the test net, start playing with it a little bit. It's fun, it's free, and I personally think it's going to be huge. I know metaverse has gone through a whole down cycle, but it's still a big play. Being able to get online, being able to step into virtual worlds, to hang out with your friends face to face, and to do cool things together is something that's coming, and it's actually kind of already here, but not at the level that most of us would love to see. So check out Lamina One and dig into it, and be on the edge. Like, we don't know if anything will ever happen with it, but if it does, it would be cool if all of us were there right at the beginning. Okay, we've got about 8 minutes left. If anybody else has things that they're working on, things they want to share, things that are important to them, please just open your mic and jump up there.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit to what you were saying. Lamina One, Neil Stevenson, he wrote Snow Crash, which you didn't mention. Which, if any of you all have never read it, I strongly recommend reading Snow Crash because a lot of the metaverse and Web3 stuff comes out of that. It was a serious pioneer of our age and a developer, a writer, a developer, and a man who wrote about what we're playing out now. Got pissed because the corporates came in and tried to make it just like it used to be and said, screw it, I'll help build it myself.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm actually listening to another one of his books. It's Reamed, which goes a little bit more into the intersection of real world finance and the gold mining economies of MMOs, which is something where I think we're going to see some crossover with crypto too. So very interesting to hear him. This is a guy who has thought a lot about things and written a lot about things and done a lot of things before other people did. And just show of hands if anybody wants to. Any old veteran second lifers in the audience? Anybody remember that?
I remember it, but I never actually played with it.
I did. 2009. I was living in Morocco. I had the worst internet connection ever, and but I was playing with Second Life there, and I loved it. And actually, Edward, it's funny because you guys have, I've mentioned this before, but what brought cryptocurrency to my attention in the first place was Chinese gold farmers in World of Warcraft and a book called Play Money that actually by Julian DeBell. And Play Money actually talked all about that, how real world economies were forming around virtual economies. And that was what put cryptocurrency and blockchain kind of on my radar at the beginning. And it's still a great book. I went back and reread it, and it's still an amazing book, although it's going to be really dated in terms of technology now. It'll seem like ancient times, like talking with chat rooms and IRC and things like that. But Julian DeBell's Play Money, you should check that out if you haven't already.
Hey, a technical question. Does anybody know if you're able to change your wallet if you're already on? If you got into Lens during the beta with one wallet, are you able to change now that they're in a full rollout to another one, or do you have to start from scratch?
You can actually migrate it. There's an option now on the platform in your settings. You can change it to the new style of profile, which basically breaks the follower NFTs from the profile NFT. So then when you transfer the profile NFT to a new wallet, that new wallet will be the controller, but all the followers get dropped off of that and who you're following. So you have the option now.
Yeah, it sounds like I better find my keys for that original wallet.
Yeah, you will definitely need the original to do the signatures for the permissions to change. Yeah.
Cool, good to know.
All right. Anybody else got notices, notifications, things you want to share?
I think, CD, it might be fun to do a speed round. Do you have a speed round question?
Yes, I have one. What's the
Excellent.
most influential book you've ever read on your own personal philosophy? You go first, Rihanna.
Oh my gosh. That's insanity. What a question. Let's see. I know why Cage Bird sings.
The Once and Future
Edward.
King. My answer is The Once and Future King by T.H. White.
Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis.
I would have to say the Bible, but Screw Tape Letters is amazing.
Yeah, I'd say Screw Tape Letters too. Paperwork's a lot better. That was a joke.
I laughed.
I'm trying to keep my mic off so my laughter is not spilling through.
What was the question?
Most influential book that you've read?
Most influential on your own personal philosophy?
The God Delusion by Richard Hawkins.
I would think I'm going to say The Emperor's New Mind by Roger Penrose. That one blew my mind as a kid. Well, not as a kid, but you know.
I'm going to say The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne and let you draw your own conclusions as to why.
Rihanna, I feel there's a whole storyline there.
I am laughing. Sounds amazing. We should write something about that. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, that could be a very good writing prompt.
VMGM fan fiction.
Yeah. So as editor-in-chief of Vagabond Magazine, I would like to invite anyone and everyone who would like to submit something where you correlate your life to your book, your philosophical book. And so if I were to do I Know Why Cagebird Sings, or if CD were to do The Scarlet Letter, or any of you, the pieces that you chose, the work that you chose, and how that would correlate, we would love to feature that. So yeah, please jump on in, and you can visit vagabondmagazine.com, and there's a place to do submissions right there really easily, or you can just DM me and say, hey, I was on the space where you invited me to do this and I want to, and so we will set that up and get that going. So yeah, we would love that. So please, definitely. And then we'll talk with Paige Dow and see if we can't get it up on Read Me Books.
Amazing. Look at that. And by the way, if you're not in the VM Discord, you should get in there. You'll find it in our bio, in the Vagabond Magazine bio, and we put it everywhere else. So you should be able to find it. If you can't find it, message us. We'll send it to you. We'll invite you personally if we need to. Well, that's kind of it, you guys. So let's close out in the way that we typically close out. And what that's going to be is everybody who is on the stage, get ready to open your mic, and we're going to close out with an aloha. Send some love and wonder out into the world. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Aloha.
The Web3 Writers is brought to you by Vagabond Magazine and published on Apple Podcasts through the Substack app. You can find all the episodes on Apple Podcasts or at vagabond, vagobond.substack.com. Our theme music is composed by the amazingly talented Paolo Argento and brought to us courtesy of Pixabay. You can find the link in the show notes.